Hi, I'm Ronnie from Ronnie's Garage, and today we're holding our monthly tech meet, and today we'll be talking about the 6-cylinder slipper clutch. And I'm still trying to get my head around the non-springs in there, because
if you don't have this gear in also, you can continue going around.
oh, okay.
It doesn't, so you can test it all the way around.
Right. So with the gear in there, though, these will come into play, won't they?
Not in your measurement.
You don't think adding springs in there between the clutch disc and this housing is going to cause more tension? Because I know that it didn't move this easy when those springs were in there.
I don't think so.
So your point, I understand your point now without the gear in there.
But yeah, but I'm not saying, like I said, there's differences between the Silver Ghost and the Silver Ghost. If you set it up like this, with that gear in place, you can rotate this all the way around.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't stop the same.
Oh, see, that's something different altogether.
It still has the center springs, but the disc is free floating.
Ah.
So who knows?
Yeah, because it definitely says in there you have to remove the drive
If
springs.
you change the springs, in other words, this is not enough resistance, right? So you want to put more springs in there that provide more resistance. Where do you
Put washers in.
you put washers in?
Yeah, or you can replace the
So you
springs.
manipulate the spring, because you couldn't order springs like with 2 more pounds resistance.
Well, on the pre-war I could, only they didn't give you resistances. There were 3 choices for these clutch springs, not for the drive springs.
Okay.
Okay, so they were light, medium, and heavy. I went with a medium on that 37 Bentley, and that worked out perfect.
But from the source you buy, whatever that is, they don't actually give you the resistance in pounds.
No, they leave it up to you to pick.
Yeah, okay. Because springs are not usually made to that degree of precision.
Yeah, and these will get replaced, especially since they're all damaged and all that,
Yeah.
but that's what connects it to the timing gear. So anyways,
You can change that by putting washers in there, right?
you can change the poundage on the clutch springs,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So what I'll do is, I'm not going to do that today, but I'm going to take it all back apart, clean it up really good. I'll put some washers underneath those springs and keep testing it till I get that right. And then I will take it all apart again, put new drive springs in it, put that gear back together, and then we'll be done. But this is awfully light, and when I put it on the engine, I could actually feel a little slippage when I turned the crankshaft. So that's why I wanted to revisit it. Any more questions on this?
Well, if you're looking for, distinction and breakaway, like, having oil or dry, would that make a difference in, and if you're able to rotate it while you're checking the running, since you have such a limited, angle of motion, checking the running.
Well, when it's on the car, it doesn't have much angle of motion anyways, right? And it's going to go back and forth. Anyways, I think we've addressed that. We all good?
If you look at the Jaguar vibration damper, it's just a harmonic damper with rubber.
Right.
So it's a lot cheaper and easier to do that. And on the early Ghosts, they actually had Babbitt on the surfaces. So we've taken them apart and are Babbitt, just like your main bearings.
Right.
And then, depending on how you surface it, you change all your thicknesses, and that's when you have to change your springs and shim them and all that
Right.
stuff.
And I bought an R-Type from a customer. I still have the car. It's unfortunately languishing and torn apart in a warehouse at this point. But I bought it and had this horrible engine noise. Sounded like rod knock or piston. Knock, 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 knock. Really bad. It ended up that the cam gear was like razor thin teeth on it. The damper had gone bad, and what it did was is the gear on the crankshaft right here that runs the cam, since that's what's being damped here, right? Between this and this, it had rocked them back, and this is a steel gear. The cam gear was aluminum. The first ones were fiber, and they tore a lot of those up. But so I ended up going through this and finding just a cam gear. They're matched sets, technically, but I bought another gear, and the noise was gone, and I drove it for years like that. So this is pretty essential to maintain the life of the engine. And I found it really interesting on that 37 Bentley how somebody had been through the injury and they didn't address it correctly. Just this is why I'm revisiting this one, and it caused problems.
On an early cloud, S1,
That's what this is. Well, this is actually a,
what are with the engine in the car and running and everything, what are the symptoms of this being wrong?
yeah. I don't know.
Can you
I would say
isolate-
some more vibration.
Yeah, if you read, I forget, I don't remember if it's the workshop manual or where it is, but each of these engines has harmonic vibration points. And the damper comes into play, say, at 2,500 RPM. And if you go to 25 to 26 or 7, you get the vibration. You go to 28, it goes away because the harmonic is gone. So the damper, even though it's turning all the time, it's only dampening when you get to those harmonics. And there's like 3 of them in each engine, first, second, and third order harmonic.
Okay.
And so I've read it, but I don't remember where.
Well, that lays right in the symptoms on that other car. Right at 2,500, between 2,500 and 2,600. Before that, it was smooth. After that, it was smooth.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the symptom would be isolated to a certain range of
Yeah.
RPM.
Theoretically, because so much in these cars rattles.
But if they're stuck, if it's got the old cotton one and it's rusted stuck, it could cause problems.
In the very early S1s,
It can damage a crankshaft
with
eventually.
cotton,
I had to remove those springs that you took out, because you're checking the running value, not the initial start, because that's going to be hard to station. So you ignore the station reading at first, and then you check the running value of the movement. And you're going between the dogs, so you have the limited travel. If
Yeah.
the springs were in there,
You wouldn't have enough travel.
The travel would be so limited, because the springs are now, taking up that extra space.
Right.
Yeah.
So it gives you the ability to humanly check it. Otherwise, you'd have to have something to read it under that very short,
Yeah.
time of motion.
All right.
Says it.
It's a collaborative effort here.
And Ronnie, it's the old thing, is that Darby Bentley has about 15,000 parts in it, where a comparable American car of the period had about 5,000.
Yeah.
So you take a look at all the parts in there, in an American car, there would have been 1 versus all that. You would have just been.
Well, you got
rubber-
that rubber,
Yeah.
rubber
2
damper.
pieces of steel with rubber between them, and
That's
that's
it.
supposed
That
to
was
take
it.
your shaking, yeah. Which works.
Yeah. And there's still a controversy as to who invented the vibration damper. Most people
Still.
credit Henry Royce
Okay.
with it. However, Lancaster patented it at the same time. So one of those two did it.
Manchester.
Yes.
So are they still in the courts right now, or what? 100 years later? Okay, well, that's the damper part.